Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Now, you know how important protein is to women over 50, and I've talked about it several times before. However, I had a conversation with some group clients of mine, and the topic of protein came up, and specifically, what are some good sources of protein and what are some not so good sources of protein? Well, today I'm bringing out my reading glasses because I'm going to show you exactly how to read the ingredient label so that you can determine whether or not the foods that you're choosing are high in protein or not. Ready? Let's go. Okay, one of the first foods that we're going to look at is actually one of my favorite foods, and it might be one of your favorites as well. This is peanut butter. That's right. And it really doesn't matter what brand of peanut butter you use. I just want you to make sure you look at the ingredient label the next time you have out your favorite peanut butter. So let's get started. When I look at the protein amount on the back of this particular peanut butter, it says that there are 7 grams of protein in this peanut butter. Now, 7 grams in one serving, and one serving happens to be 2 tablespoons. Now, you might think that's not bad, 7 grams of protein in 2 tablespoons. However, you have to look at the big picture. Yes, it is awesome to get 7 grams of protein. However, when you have one serving of this peanut butter, not only do you get 7 grams of protein, but you also get 210 calories and 18 grams of fat. So let's look at that. One serving of peanut butter gives you 7 grams of protein, but it also gives you 18 grams of fat. So, would you say that protein is high in, that peanut butter is high in protein, or is peanut butter high in fat? Well, it appears as though it's very high in fat, and it is. Peanut butter is very calorie dense. And so when you eat peanut butter, you just need to be aware of that. It's okay to eat peanut butter. It's also important to know what you're getting when you do eat peanut butter. So, does peanut butter contain protein? Absolutely. Is it a high food? Does it have high protein? It doesn't, but it does contain protein. So you have to make your decision based on that information. Let's move on to the next food. We're going to move from peanut butter to just plain peanuts. And I wanted to go in this direction because some people may think, well, peanut butter is really highly processed, but what about just peanuts? Great question. What about just peanuts? Well, again, take any brand of peanuts that you want. I happen to have a brand here that I'm going to use for this example. So, in one serving of peanuts, which is about 1 ounce, there are 7 grams of protein. Again, that is a decent amount of protein. However, when I consider the amount of fat in that same 1 ounce, there is twice as much fat in an ounce of peanuts as there is protein. That's right, 1 ounce of peanuts has 14 grams of fat. So, again, you can see that while peanuts contain protein, I wouldn't call them a high protein food. They're yummy, they're great, they have some fiber in them, but when you need to consider high protein foods, this probably wouldn't be in that category. All right, so let's move away from peanuts and let's get to another example. All right, I'm going to take a slight detour. Don't worry, I'm still focused on protein, but do you remember earlier on when we were looking at the peanut butter and I said you had to look at the big picture? Well, I wanted to show you something else when it comes to protein and reading the ingredients of a food label. So let's look at oatmeal. Now, not the oatmeal that has a lot of the flavorings and sugar added to it, but just some old fashioned whole grain rolled oats. Whole grain rolled oats, let's say that. So, when I look at the ingredients on the back label, one serving gives you 5 grams of protein. Now, that's actually less protein than was in the peanuts and the peanut butter. However, looking at the big picture, while it's less protein, 5 grams, it's also less calories, 150 calories in a serving. So you can see that it doesn't have as many calories as the peanut butter or the peanuts. Another thing about this oatmeal is that it also has other nutrients I want you to consider. It also has dietary fiber, which is amazing for you, helps to lower your cholesterol levels. And this also has no added sugars, which is also amazing. So, again, looking at the big picture when it comes to the ingredient label is really important. While this doesn't have as much protein, it's much more nutrient dense than the peanut butter or the peanuts. All right, let's move on. The next food we're going to look at is black beans. Now, black beans is a source of protein that many people who are vegetarian or vegan, they may rely on beans and lentils a lot to get their protein. Let's look at the ingredient label on the back of some canned black beans. Again, any of your favorite canned black beans you can use, just as long as you read the food label. So, for this particular brand, one serving of black beans contains 8 grams of protein. Now, I will say that's more protein than was in both the peanut butter and also the peanuts, at least a serving of peanut butter and a serving of peanuts. 8 grams is more than the 7 grams that were in both of those peanut products. The other thing I want to highlight about the black beans is it also has less calories at 130 calories per serving. So you can see right there that the ratio of protein to calories, the ratio of the amount of protein to the amount of calories is better, more positive in these particular black beans than the peanuts or the peanut butter. But again, looking at the big picture, look at this. The black beans also contain 6 grams of fiber. Again, just looking at the big picture and understanding what nutrients are good for you and how to really break it down to make some decisions that are good for your overall nutrition, you're getting more fiber in these black beans in a serving than you would in the peanuts or the peanut butter. If I was looking for the better option as it relates to protein, I would pick the black beans over the peanuts and the peanut butter because they're much more nutrient dense and higher protein. All right, final example. What about protein drinks? Listen, you still need to make sure you look at the ingredient label when it comes to protein drinks because sometimes the advertisement on the front of a label will say high protein, but you can't really confirm that until you turn it over on the back and look at the ingredient labels. Remember, looking at the big picture. This particular protein drink, it contains 30 grams of protein. But now, if you've been following me, you're probably like, but Tracy, how much fat does it have if it has 30 grams of protein? It has 2.5 grams of fat. And then you might ask me, all right, Tracy, so far so good. How about calories? Well, this protein drink has 150 calories. So, would you consider that a high protein drink? Absolutely. 150 calories, 30 grams of protein and 2.5 grams of fat, that is definitely a high protein food. So that's an example of how you can determine if a food is high in protein. You look at the amount of protein, but then you're going to compare it to the overall calories, the overall fat content. You can also include the overall carbohydrate content, because if you remember earlier, I shared with you the oatmeal. The oatmeal had was high in carbohydrates, so it's mostly carbohydrate heavy as opposed to protein heavy, but it was still low in fat and it was low in calories. So now that you have all of that information about reading ingredient labels, you can better determine which foods are going to serve you as high in protein or not high in protein. Listen, because protein is so important to us, I want to make sure that you're armed with the information that you need so that you can make the best nutritional decisions for you. So it's important to always look at those ingredient labels. You've got the basics. Now take this information, and the next time you're out shopping and the next time you're trying to make a decision on what to eat, just use this information. Okay, that's it for this video. I do have other videos that you can watch so that you can learn more about protein, the different protein sources, how to determine how much protein you should get, and just a lot of other great information. Make sure you check them out. I'll link them below in the comments. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.